Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the Euro Roundup where you pick our winners and losers from the weekend just past in the world of football. Now, as you may have noticed, I'm not joined by Patrick van Straat today. He's had to retire forcibly from the hierarchy here at Football Daily after he said Modric was better than Iniesta.
Absolute disgrace.
Can you Adam and Eve it? For shame. Anyway, we have a very able deputy in Michael McLovin. You know, biggest womanizer on FD. And he's going to kick us off with Leroy Sané, who Taylor Thorne thinks deserves to be in our winners after a rampant display against Palace.
Yes, Leroy Sané bagged a goal and 2 assists on the weekend as Man City pumped Crystal Palace 5-0 at the Etihad. He had 5 shots, created 5 chances and completed 5 dribbles. Are you noticing a bit of a theme here?
Only 5,
I think
Batman.
you will be, yes. Other goals came from Sterling, who scored 2, Delph and Sergio Aguero. But despite Sterling scoring twice, Sané was actually way more involved than the England international. He attempted 43 passes compared to Sterling's 23. Sané also had 66 touches and Sterling had 34. So very, very dominant down that left side.
Had 2 easier finishes either.
Yeah, very, very true. In fact, just 1 of City's 25 shots came from down the right wing, which is obviously where Sterling was positioned. Sané now has 5 goals from 6 shots on target in all comps this year. That is pretty amazing, but obviously completely unsustainable. After managing 5 goals and 3 assists in 26 league appearances last year, he is already on 3 goals and 2 assists in under 250 minutes this season.
To put that into perspective, McCubbin, if he scored and created at that rate all season, he'd finish on 41 goals and 27 assists. Get him in your dream team now. Actually, don't. Pep rotates everyone. Ruthlessly dropping Gabriel Jesus for this game. I know that upset quite a few people on our fantasy football show this week. Anyway, Manchester City are now the first team to score 5+ goals in 3 consecutive top-flight games since who, McCubbin?
Blackburn Rovers, I believe, in 1958-59.
That is good, obscure knowledge from you. Good job, it was on our sheet too. Yeah, they actually outshot Crystal Palace 25-5 in this game and had 9 shots on target, while Palace had a big fat 0. They're currently averaging 3.5 goals per game in the Premier League this season and could become the 4th team to score over 100 goals in a league campaign after Manchester City, after Liverpool, and who else? Chelsea 09-010. I think that was Ancelotti, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
Oh, what a free scoring forward line that was. Malouda, Anelka, someone else.
Lampard chipping in with a lot of goals as well that season.
Now, City have taken 47 shots on target across 6 games this season. By comparison, Swansea have just taken 41 in total, although they are taking a few and conceding the most, so not great. I'm guessing the stats haven't improved as well after they lost to Watford 2-1. But who's next for Pep's rampant City? I hear you ask, McLovin. It is, of course, Chelsea. What a tasty tie that is. Get your score predictions to us on Twitter. That's right, mixed it up.
We go over to Italy now for our first losers of the week. This one comes from Jad Haidar, and he says Milan deserve to be in there. Why is that, Hamill?
Well, they got beaten 2-0 away, my friend, at Sampdoria with goals from Duvan Zapata and Ricky Alvarez. Duvan Zapata actually profited from a huge error by his cousin, Christian Zapata, so keeping it in the family there as he inadvertently headed across into his path to open the goal scoring, and it could have been more, McLovin. Sampdoria also had a penalty awarded, which was then overturned by the video ref. Now this result leaves Milan, who spent 195 million euros this summer, 1 point ahead of Sampdoria in 5th. Now, despite having the majority of the possession, that was 54%, the Rossinieri could only muster 6 shots. Sampdoria actually had twice that on 12, basic maths. But get this, no one at Milan could hit a barn door this game. 0 shots on target. Pretty poor all around.
That's like Van Gaal to United.
Oh, wow, terrible members. And it didn't help that AC were caught offside time and time again in this game and completed an unusually high amount of individual mistakes. And it's just not clicking with all those separate components in that newly found team yet, is it?
No, evidently not. This was already their 2nd loss of the season after their 4-1 defeat against Lazio in early September. And although they are averaging 16.3 shots a game, which isn't bad at all, just slightly less than Serie A leaders Napoli, More importantly, their shooting has been far more wayward. Of those 16.3 shots per game, only 5.8 are making their way on target, whereas Napoli are getting a ridiculously high 10 on target each game. Is it any wonder they are top of the league? Now, they've also conceded 8 goals in their opening 6 games, which is the same amount as Cagliari, who are in 13th. And understandably, as alluded to earlier by you, Hamill, it is going to take a while for Vincenzo Montea's side to gel. They have signed 10 different players this summer, so is it really any surprise? The manager himself actually called for calm and patience after the defeat, saying that we are still a work in progress. This is not a project that can be written off already. Fair enough.
Yeah, and next up for Milan in the Europa League is Croatian side. Remember that last minute, Rijeka. So maybe an easy game to bounce back after this league defeat, but it's going to take some stopping Napoli and Juventus this season, even Inter in great form. So already, maybe Montea's aim is just to get Champions League football. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments. Next winner comes from @Say My Name. A little bit weird. What are you into? BDSM or something, mate. Anyway, and he thinks Paulo Dybala should be in our winners section because of his white-hot form at the start of this season, slaying the bull, Torino, in the last game, much like the Matador, which, you know, I don't know why that pastime continues. It's f***ing mental. Get a new hobby, you sequin c***s.
Ooh, bit harsh there, but, you know, pretty truthful as well.
Yeah,
but nevertheless, Juventus beat Torino 4-0 in the Turin derby on Saturday at home, with Dybala scoring twice. He now has 10 in 6 Serie A games, and this is at a rate of 1.9 per game, and now leads the race for the Golden Boot, quite obviously. He is averaging a goal every 47 minutes. That's the best record in any of Europe's top 5 leagues. The next closest is Monaco's Falcao, who is also doing pretty impressively himself with a goal every 52 minutes.
Doing bits, isn't he?
He is. But Juventus are now unbeaten domestically this season and sits second in Serie A behind Napoli, just on goal difference. Napoli beat SPAL 3-2 on the weekend. Juve have only conceded 3 goals this season, which is second best in the league behind Inter Milan, who have only conceded 2 still, and only Napoli have scored more goals, 22 to Juve's 18. So pretty impressive stuff all round.
Yes, the diminutive little Argentine is in incredible form. As you just stated, he's actually 1 goal away from equaling his entire total in the league last year. And last year, he was still averaging a very respectable 0.5 goals per 90 from that sort of reserved false line attacking position. So he's just added another string to his bow this season. Looks like he's becoming an out-and-out goal scorer. He's averaging 6.6 shots per game as well, and 56% of them are on target. That is crazy. Only Messi, with an average of 6.8 per game, is averaging more in Europe. Although his scoring rate has risen, his chance creation is actually down a little bit last year, which may indicate the evolution of his role a little bit in this Juve side. As we were discussing off camera, I think Higuain's only got a couple at the start of this season. He seems to be taking up that goal scoring mantle, doesn't he? Yeah.
Dybala actually has 0 assists as well so far, so it suggests that he is, being
kind of like a direct swap. Well, last year he was averaging 2.4 chances created per 90 to 1.6 this season, so it's down significantly. And he hasn't provided an assist as of yet, which you just said, making my point redundant. But alas, we move on. Next up for Juve is the visit of Olympiacos in the Champions League on Wednesday. So, you know, you'd think they're just going to add to that momentum. Absolutely roll over Olympiacos. And yeah, they'll be looking to get their first points in the Champions League this year after being rolled over by Barcelona 3-0. Now, Olympiacos actually in the last game lost 3-2 to Sporting Lisbon, and I think Sporting Lisbon were 3-0 up at half-time.
That's true, yeah.
So probably not in the best European form. What do you think that result's going to be, guys? And where will Juve finish the season? Let us know on Instagram. Oh, got me there.
So our second losers of the week are Bayern Munich. This comes from Noah Fightman, great name. And why are they in there this week?
I'm surprised that you like that name, because you are a lover and not a fighter.
I'm the quintessential pacifist.
McLovin.
The amount of fights I've broken up in this office, would not believe. True. Not necessarily true, but...
Anyway, I'm guessing Noah picked this game because they actually drew 2-2 at home to Wolfsburg after having their noses out 2-0 in front at half-time, mate. And it's the first time since August 2008 the club have failed to win a Bundesliga game at home when being in front by that scoreline. Now, this result leaves the Bavarians third Bayern, Hoffenheim and Dortmund, early pace setters this season. Now the hosts, Carlo Ancelotti's side, a little bit unfortunate because they were dominant, at least from a statistical point of view in this game. 60% possession, 19 shots to Wolfsburg's 8, but they could only muster 3 on target. Now that's odd, isn't it? Because that's not something you associate with Bayern Munich. They're normally ruthless. They need to get Ribéry and Robin firing on all cylinders. Lever's looked a little bit, I don't know, static at the start of this season. He wasn't great in that game when we got to watch Leverkusen, actually. So come on, pull your finger out, especially if you want that top goal-scoring award. But yeah, Wolfsburg were very clinical, conversely, creating 5 chances and scoring twice. Now for Wolfsburg, this is a great point because it actually takes them to 13th after a tough start, which has seen them play Hanover and Dortmund. And their 2 goals here were actually just their 4th and 5th of the season. So while Bayern Munich might have been lacking a cutting edge, the Wolf, his teeth, mate, have been taken out.
Sharpened.
You know, tried to think of an analogy, didn't quite get there. But anyway, it's the first time Bayern have failed to beat Wolfsburg at home in the league since December 2001, when Zach was still in his dad's ball sack.
Pretty much.
4.
Pretty much.
Doesn't know how to continue.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
So.
This result came 2 years to the day that Lewandowski scored 5 in 9 minutes against Die Wolfe. He was obviously nowhere near as effective this time round. Aside from his penalty, which he did score, he managed a whopping 0 shots inside the box and just 2 from outside the area, one of them off target and one of them blocked, so completely ineffective. He has still scored 7 in 6 games though this season. That's 74 minutes per goal. That's 1 behind Aubameyang in the charts.
Well, I think that's 2 penalties already this season.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit
putting that into
skewed.
context, yeah, that's very true, Hamill. But Robin at least had something to remember. His goal was his 92nd in the league. He is now level with Giovanni Elber as the club's all-time top foreign scorer in the Bundesliga. So a little bit of a momentous occasion for him, despite not getting the points. But another one of Bayern Munich's key men was missed very badly. That's Manuel Neuer, obviously out with another foot injury. His replacement, Ulreich, was at serious fault for Maximilian Arnold's free kick, which made it 2-1. Hit straight at the goalkeeper, and he flapped at it with one hand. One of the worst goalkeeping mistakes I've seen in quite a while. Despite this, it didn't stop them celebrating Oktoberfest at the weekend. Pictures of Ancelotti and the boys with their steins.
That's German for lads.
Yeah.
Lads.
I don't know, but yeah.
What is German for lads? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. Danke.
Our last winner comes from the one and only Sharik Hussein, and he thinks Peter Bosz and his Dortmund side deserve to be there because of their imperious start to the Bundesliga season. Do you agree?
Yes, indeed. They've played 3 Bully games in 6 days last week, and they won all 3, scored 14, and conceded just 1. Peter Bosz is having an absolute field day in his new job.
They actually call that an English week as well, don't they, in Germany?
They do, they do. Midweek games in Germany are called English Woche. Just a bit of trivia for you there.
Nugget of information for you.
Indeed, but they beat Köln 5-0, Hamburg 3-0, and wrapped up this week with a 6-1 battering of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah. Aubameyang scored a hat-trick. Of course, summer signing Maxi Philipp got 2, and Julian Weigl got just the 2nd goal of his professional career.
Back from injury, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Get in there, Julian.
Aubameyang now has 12 goals in 9 games so far this campaign. That's including 8 in 6 in the Bully. Absolutely electric. He had 8 shots and 5 shots on target in this game. And guess what? That was exactly identical to the stats for the whole of the Mönchengladbach team. What a hero.
Bish, bash, Peter Bosz, mate. And he's already moving towards a younger team, which, Aubameyang, he must be, what? He's one of the senior members of staff now, isn't he? Was he 27, 28? But yeah, he's doing a similar job to the one he did at Ajax. Now, 5 of Dortmund's starters were 23 or under, with 18-year-old Dan Axel Zagadou coming off the bench 2-2-2. Now, 4 teenagers have featured for BVB so far in the league this season. Well, you have to keep it interesting for yourself, don't you? But yeah, Zagadou, Pulisic, Isaac, and winger Jacob Brun Larsen, who I've never heard of, but I'll be keeping an eye out for from here on in. But until this game, Dortmund hadn't conceded in the Bundesliga this season, mate. In fact,
I didn't even know that.
Peter Bosz is the first manager to keep a clean sheet in his first 5 Bundesliga matches, which goes against his reputation as an all-out attacking manager. Although, you know, if you have all the possession, you control the game, don't you?
Attack is the best form of defence, as some people say.
Certainly Pep. But anyway, yeah, they're top of the Bundesliga on 16 points and have a goal difference of 18. That is mental. That's a club record, I think, at the start of the season, and twice that of Bayern Munich. Which only goes back to what we were saying in the previous part, that Bayern aren't firing on all cylinders and Dortmund are.
They've laid down the gauntlet.
However, important question, will Dortmund win the league? Can they maintain this form? Let us know in that bloody poll, top left, if Adam Templeman's remembered to put it in. Tit head.
So in the words of Christopher Hamill over here, last but not least, we have Ajax, although they are a loser this week, so debatable.
Doesn't really work.
No. 2-1 loss to Vitesse Arnhem at home. This comes from @Liam A. Stewart. What happened in Amsterdam?
Another regular contributor. Big thumbs up. Liam, you might be suggesting a loser, but you're a winner in our eyes, mate. Yes! New Ajax manager Marcel Keizer has been dealt his second league defeat of the season already. And not only that, my friend, he was beat by a side who were knocked out of the KNVB Cup recently by 5th tier Amsterdam side, Swift. Not even Swift FC, just Swift. Adopted the name of a small bird. That happened last Wednesday. And yeah, Vitesse took advantage of this sluggish Ajax performance. Now, they scored 2 first-half goals. It's the first time Ajax have been trailing by 2 goals in the Eredivisie, in the first half of a league game, since October 2011. Ooh, and it's Vitesse's first win over Ajax in Amsterdam in the last 4 years too. So all sorts of records being broken, but Marcel Keizer, probably not a fan of them. Yeah, and Ajax just couldn't make their dominance count, my friends. 67% possession and 83% pass success rate to Vitesse's 68%, which would suggest that Vitesse were being very pragmatic, maybe adopting a long ball game. They also had 11 corners to Vitesse's 4, so bombarding them on all fronts. But yeah, Ajax were terrible in front of goal. They had 13 chances on the day, and they smashed 9 of them off target. And how have they done that with Klass-Jan in such electric form at the start of the season?
Well, that's the thing. The veteran Huntelaar has been a great outlet for the side this season, but here he was just entirely ineffective. 4 shots, more than anyone else on the pitch, but he missed all of them. Wow. Created 2 chances and neither of those were put away either. But Hakim Ziyech was actually the main man here. 3 goals and assists so far this season, one of them against Vitesse on the weekend. He was Ajax's biggest outlet. 4 key passes, 1 assist, as I said, but also misfiring 2. 2 shots, 1 blocked and 1 off target. Just didn't seem like they could hit the target here. Vitesse were far, far more clinical. They scored 2 from their 4 shots on target.
So, very, very lucky is what we're saying. 50% conversion rate, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Probably deserve a bit of luck after being smashed by a team of small birds. So.
Exactly. But Ajax have just 10 points now after 6 games. This is the first time they've had this low a tally since 2008-09. I believe that's probably, what, about 8 years? They also have nearly matched their total losses for last season. Lost 2 games already this season. They only lost 3 last season, and they still couldn't win the league last year either. Vitesse now sit in 3rd, but Ajax have dropped to 7th. 5 points already off league leaders PSV, who won 7-1 on the weekend. Ajax's next 3 matches include visits to 2nd place Heerenveen and champions Feyenoord. A big, big month ahead for Keizer.
So that was this week's Euro Roundup, guys. Thank you for watching and sending your tweets in. What should the EFD squad do next, McCubbin?
Oh yeah, Stat Wars, of course it's Stat Wars. Stat Wars, the champions, in fact, started up again this weekend, just gone.
First quarter-final.
Yes, between the one and only Patrick van Straten and the even more legendary John Babb. An absolute epic matchup there, so go and check that out. Also check out things like Continental Club's Scout Report, a manager special Scout Report we released last week, so go and check that one out.
Yeah. Continental Club, you and Zach. It's your little thing now, isn't it? Team Curls.
Football Mundial.
Football Mundial, not Continental Club. No. That's on a Friday.
But yeah, check that one out as well. Like and subscribe.
What a mess.